which you love. I'm Dani of Dazey LA, and this is
Rachel of Process Progress.
We used to be coworkers. Maybe like a year ago, we designed for Torrid/Hot Topic, doing graphics, and that's where we met. But now we're both following our own journey. And we're here to talk about that.
Yeah, we wanted to do some videos talking about running your own business and working for yourself and being your own boss. There's a lot of people out there that are interested in doing this, but you know,
It's scary.
they don't know how, or they don't know what to do, or they have questions, and so we wanted to just be able to answer some of those.
I do a lot of little Instagram videos. They're really fun, and I get a lot of questions from other girls who want to pursue their creative dreams, and they always ask me, how did you do it? How did you take the leap? So our first subject is going to be how to take the leap. And we're first going to talk about experience and what that has to do with it. Now, my experience has been, I got a degree in fashion design, which has something to do with what I do, but not really. I got most of my experience just working in the industry, got my first job, worked my way up from like the bottom, and I've been designing for 6 years, and I feel like I just got to a point where I was so ready, and like everything I had done led me to a place where I was ready to do it. I'm not a big risk taker. I wasn't gonna like just fly by the seat of my pants and do it. I wanted to be like overly ready. And my dad, I feel like, raised me that way. I'm like, I need to be ready and prepared. Which is kind of boring, but it works for me.
Well, a lot of people are like that, you know? They need to feel like they are absolutely ready, like have it all planned out before they go. And sometimes
I wish I wasn't that person.
Well,
because I feel like it can hold you back in a lot of ways.
There's only so much you can plan, right? Because you can plan everything out to a T of what it's going to be like, but until you actually do the thing, you're not going to know how it turns out.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So, like you said, having all of your different experiences, even though you don't think about it consciously, they have brought you to be able to be at that point where you are today, to be able to do this, right?
Definitely.
In my case, I had a lot of experience in school. I got my master's in graphic design, and I had a lot.
Which is crazy. She got her master's degree in graphic design.
It's insane. Like, who does that? I don't know. Well, I did it.
But that's awesome. Like,
and it was my last resort. Like, I was trying to get a job, trying to work, and for whatever reason, the economy, the time, my skills, I just didn't have what I needed. So I was like, okay, I'll go back to school.
And that's what's so cool about meeting other creatives. Everyone comes from such different backgrounds. Like me, I have an associate's degree from a really lame fashion school that actually doesn't even exist anymore. So my schooling is like, but you have a master's degree, which is incredible. And I feel like we both, I got my experience working in the field, you got it in school, and it both brought us to where we are. And that's awesome. Like, you don't have to be.
Yeah.
There is no way to do it. There's no one way.
There is no one way. It has to be your way. And, regardless of, there's give and take for both things. I may have gotten an education, but I missed out on those years working for a company and learning how that.
Well, you've got some years under your belt now.
Yeah, I do now. And that's another thing. That's like another part of your experience that, piles on to be like, okay, I think I'm getting the hang of knowing how to do this. And then you start thinking, and the wheels start turning, and you're like, I could do this.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's crazy. For me, I feel like I had so much self-doubt until I know I was way overly prepared with experience. Like, every step of my career, I've hopped around a lot of jobs. I've worked for a lot of different companies, and like at every place I was just constantly taking in information.
Yeah.
And
learning.
Storing as much as I can, learning on someone else's dime,
watching,
which is
listening.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
So I waited until I was like over prepared. Like, part of me wishes I had done it years ago.
Well, another part about your experience is that you had a situation where you left a job unexpectedly.
I got fired.
And you were kind of like thrown into the fire.
So where we worked, I got fired because I'm a bad girl and I love sharing my work. As you guys have probably seen on Dazey, I'm like way much of an oversharer. So I kept posting my designs when they weren't out yet, and I got in trouble. And then I made a different Instagram to post designs.
Yeah.
And I got in trouble, and I got fired.
Wow.
Which is kind of funny because now that's what's helping Dazey, is the very same thing that got me in trouble there.
Yeah. Well, and also it kind of like, that was your first kind of like push into this kind of world of entrepreneurship and freelancing, because you had no other choice at the time, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so when we were both at Torrid, all we would do, I mean, it was a great job. They treated their employees awesome, but we just would daydream about having our own jobs. Every single day, we would be at lunch, we'd be like, we'd be listening to the same podcast about starting a business. We were just going crazy. Yeah. And then I finally got that kick, and I tried freelancing for a while. This was probably a year and a half before I started Dazey. I freelanced, and I just didn't have the client base built up. I wasn't ready, I wasn't prepared, and I got really scared. I freaked out, and then I ended up getting a job with a startup, and that's kind of how I got a lot of my experience about how to start a company, and realized, holy shit, I can do this myself. Mm-hmm. Why am I, making someone else money when I can do this? So that was, I helped start a company from the ground up, and I kind of ran all the shit. So, I don't know if we're going to be cussing. I guess we're cussing in our channel. We'll have to put like a little M for mature.
A little warning.
But that was like what gave me the confidence and finally kind of banished all my fear to starting a business, was basically starting a business on someone else's dime.
Yeah, and the same for me. Like, I didn't just quit one day without having like thought about this. Like, I was planning my business for like at least 6 months while I was still working. Like,
I remember
figuring out that, like, what is my brand, what is my purpose, what is my mission, like who are my clients gonna be, what kind of clients do I want to work with, like figuring all that stuff out. So I didn't necessarily have any clients, but I had all of the foundations for starting a business before I even left my job. And that's like a lot of work. That's like a lot of like sitting down with yourself for hours and just really like figuring that stuff out.
And I think that was the problem the first time I tried to freelance and kind of played with the idea of starting my own line. Mm-hmm. I was thrown into it and didn't have the time to prep. The second time around, when I was kind of like putting in my notice at Revice, the company I helped kind of build, I had months to plan it out for, to find out what name I wanted, what was my market, what was the vision for the whole company, the aesthetic, all that stuff.
Exactly.
And if you have the luxury of a little bit of time to plan that out, I would definitely take advantage of that.
I think you have to do that.
It makes it less scary too.
And yeah, I think so you know what you're working with.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. What do you feel is the difference between freelancing and having your own business?
I don't know if they're that different. It's so weird because so I'm a t-shirt designer. I have a t-shirt company, but I design t-shirts for other companies. So it all kind of meshes together. I feel like if I was doing more freelance photography and then my company was t-shirt, I don't know. It's weird. They all kind of blend in to my daily life, so I have to schedule it a lot.
You find yourself kind of doing both. Like, you're freelancing, but you're also like trying to run your own thing.
Yeah, which is smart to do. You're kind of doing that too,
I'm doing
right?
that too, yeah.
So what's nice is I have my freelance clients that I've built up. I finally spent the time building up a client base, my second time freelancing. Mm-hmm. And that's what basically pays me while I'm working on a startup. Like, that's how I make money. And that makes it a lot less scary also. Because I get a lot of questions about fear.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing.
And it puts a lot of less pressure on you to make money on your business because you're having freelance clients.
Exactly. My freelance is bread and butter, and Dazey is my little experiment that's been going well, which is awesome. But still, like, I'm gonna hold on to that freelance as long as I can, because I'm a worrywart.
So let's talk about that fear.
Fear.
What are we afraid of? Like what
I
what
know.
is what is the fear like what is the fear really about? Is it about like failing? Is it about
For me, I mean, it's so silly. Because another, like, I mean, I guess I'm just afraid of, like, I don't know what I'm afraid of. I'm not going to be on the streets, but I guess in the back of your head, you're like, I'm going to be broke and all this stuff, but none of that is true.
mm-hmm.
So it's really, I don't know.
And
I
how
feel like it's a human, it's so deep in, like, our humanity. You can't help but be afraid of everything. I was afraid of filming this video. And now we're doing it, and it feels, like, pretty good. Like,
yeah, I think there's a big fear of like putting yourself out there. Like in our businesses, we have to. We're the one woman show. Like
mm-hmm.
we are the marketing department. We're the like
the everything. We're the janitors.
Yeah, we're like running everything, and you have to be. Like, no one's gonna know you exist if you don't
You have to put yourself
tell
out
them, if you don't show them.
And what's scary about Dazey, too, like, ever since the video started, like, I was kind of always a girl behind the scenes designing shirts. Like, for all these other companies, nobody knew. But now it's like you kind of have to put a face on it, which is awesome because people get to know you and, like, want to support the brand and know the people behind it. But I've had a few haters, and it is scary, you know?
And that's a good thing, you know, like you want to be so authentically yourself that you know there's gonna be some people out there that aren't gonna vibe with it, and that's
true.
totally okay.
Yeah.
But it's better than like sort of being yourself but sort of being this other person so that everyone will love you. Like that is not gonna help anyone. That's not gonna help you. It's not gonna help your customers or your clients. So
Yeah.
I think that like discovering that about yourself, you know, like there are gonna be haters and there are gonna be people that aren't gonna like what I'm doing, and that's fine. Like let them do what they want to do.
And that's what's hard about having, like, when your small business involves your creativity, it's a very personal thing. So you really are being vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there, and I think that is where a lot of the fear comes from. Definitely. How about on your side, Rachel?
I think for me, it's a line between like there's so many like business resources out there. Like you have to do this. You need to do this. Here's like 10 steps to gain like 50,000 followers. Like there's so many like ways that people have put out there to run a business, and for me I get really overwhelmed and caught up in that, like, oh my god, like I have to do this if I want to be successful, and that's not how I want to run my business. I want to run my business doing things that make me feel good and make me feel really creative and really inspired, and I don't want to have to like live by someone else's standards or rules for how you're supposed to run a business. So I think
you want your business to work for you. You don't want to work for your business.
Exactly. But I think there's a fear of like, if I don't do this, then I'm not going to succeed, and
definitely. Yeah, I mean, even the other day, I was like listening to some podcasts, and it was like, oh, like online businesses should be doing this and that. And I was like, wait, I'm not doing any of that. Like, am I like hurting my business by not doing this?
Yeah.
But you only have so much time in the day, and you need to figure out what works best for you in the end.
Right. Like, I get a lot of clients that ask me, like, I don't like Twitter. Like, do I need to use Twitter? I don't like Facebook. Do I have to? And like, it's like, no, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything you don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not going to be inspired to be tweeting about your business or about whatever, then don't waste your time, like, forcing yourself to do it.
You have to pick your platforms wisely and know which ones work for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you know you were ready to go on your own? We have a little list down here. Ready, fear. Okay, how did you know you were ready?
I think Well, that's the thing.
First off, explain like what you do. I feel like.
What I do. Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So,
Everyone's like, what is this chick?
So I'm a graphic designer by profession and education, and then I am also an intuitive coach and a brand advisor, I guess you would say. I work with clients in the spiritual entrepreneur space to help brand their businesses and to help them build their businesses. And so, like, feeling ready for that, like I felt like I needed to kind of master my intuitive skills and my like spiritual path before I was ready to help people in that space.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're using their intuition a lot with their own work, and I mean, I've always been.
You wanted to understand your client base.
Exactly.
So you had to prep for that, obviously.
And I learned that like my intuition is actually a skill that I can use
to help
help
other
them.
businesses. Yeah.
So I had to understand that before I knew I was ready to do this. And it's
what about knowing you're ready to leave Torrid?
That was like,
because I think this is a fun story.
So I was getting ready to leave. I had booked a Europe trip that I knew I didn't have the days off for. And I was like, okay, that's the deadline. Like, I bought the ticket. I was like, I need to be out of there before I go on this trip because I don't have the days. So that was like my like bottom line for myself. And I was planning to leave like right before the trip. So 2 months, kind of a month or so before the trip, I just was at the end of my rope. Like, I was just like, I don't think I can be here another 2 months. And it was just this feeling inside of me that was like pulling me, like, you have to go do this, you have to go do this. So I literally, one night, I was thinking about it. I was like, what if I just put in my notice tomorrow? And then I went to yoga class, and like there was this voice, like, but I could feel it like in my whole body while I was doing yoga, and it was like, do it tomorrow, do it tomorrow, do it tomorrow, do it tomorrow, do it tomorrow. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, wake up, and if I'm still hearing that voice, like, I'm gonna do it. And then I woke up, and it was like, yep, you're doing it, you're doing it. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this.
So crazy.
And I put in my notice that day. And I felt so like just a relief, like was taken off of my shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, with Revice, the company I was at before I started Dazey, it just got to a point where there was just so much indecisiveness, and I was just so being pulled to do my own thing. Like, I wanted so badly to have full creative freedom. Everywhere I've ever worked, there's been somebody kind of dictating my creativity. And I just wanted that full creative freedom. I wanted it to be my vision.
Right.
And it just started to drain on me so much. I knew I couldn't do it anymore. And I was planning ahead probably a month, and then I put my 2 weeks in and finished up and then just started it. But I mean, part of me being a worrywart, I had like that time without being fired, like having it planned. I had the money saved up. I knew I was going to be okay to live off of that and start a business with it. Yeah. And that for me is a huge thing. I mean, obviously I'm not going to be on the streets even if I didn't, you know, I have family and stuff, but I needed that safety net personally. And I was there for about a year, and all the experience I gained there, I knew I was ready and that I could do it. And I knew I could do it with not a lot of money either. I was like overly ready, but I finally did it. It was that fear, I feel like, that kept me from doing it. So
I think a healthy dose of fear to keep you going is required.
Yeah.
But there's this like, have you read Big Magic by Elizabeth
I'm actually
Gilbert?
in the middle of reading it. Is it good? Because I've only read like the first chapter, and I'm
it's
like,
alright. I mean,
book reviews.
I had an okay time with it, but she talks about fear in this one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, go talk to your fear. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this. So I went to talk to my fear, like in meditation or whatever. And this is like the message that I got from fear was that you should keep fear in your back pocket so that it's like pushing you along.
That's cute.
But not in front of you so that it's blocking where
Yeah.
you trying to go.
Definitely.
So that's kind of like my philosophy on
And in
fear.
the end, I feel like you really need to just believe in yourself. If you're feeling a huge draw to start your own business and you're super passionate about something, you need to believe in yourself and you need to go for it.
Yeah, and if the people around you are like not supporting you, because that's a common thing. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
always had the support from my family.
But a lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't, and
Go be a doctor.
so
Go be blah, blah,
so
blah.
come talk to us. Like talk to the people that are on your side.
Mhm.
And know that like the reason that the people probably aren't supporting you is that because they feel you are trying to really create change in your life and want to do something amazing for yourself, and
They could be jealous hater.
their own
Also.
their own fear is coming up around
Yeah.
that. So find your support system, even if that's like an online group of entrepreneurs or just one mentor. Like
You have a mentor.
yeah.
I need to find a
I
mentor.
have a few different mentors.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, I mean, there's also like you and I are like peer mentors
yeah,
to
definitely.
each other.
Encouraging each other always, checking in, things
Yeah.
like that. It's huge. Like building up a community around yourself. And that can happen after you've already taken the leap. You know, I feel like that's
Mhm.
when all of a sudden you start to meet these people that are kind of cultivating.
Yeah, and there can be different people for different stages. Like I had my mentor when I was first starting to build like the brand and everything for my business, and now I don't work so much with her, but now I'm working with another
Yeah.
person. So it's and don't like. I think there's a lot of fear that comes up with that, like of like reaching out to people
Mm-hmm.
because you're scared of like rejection or.
Yeah.
But just do it.
Yeah.
If they don't
I mean,
answer,
worst
so
that can
what?
happen is people say no.
Exactly.
The thing is, yeah, we have so many fears and emotions in us, but in the end, you're probably not gonna die. So really, like,
Yeah.
what's the worst that can happen? So
Exactly.
go for it, do it, follow your dreams,
Do
what
it.
you love. Don't let fear get in the way. Know when you're ready. Believe in yourself and build up that experience.
And make sure you subscribe to our channel for more
Yes,
videos.
subscribe. We'll be doing all sorts of fun videos.
Leave your comments, questions, and yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Love you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Dazey, DAZEY _LA, and
At Process Progress.
bye. I feel like we did a really good job.
That was good. That was